Now, musicians are fed up with concert tickets being resold online at inflated prices. 30% of concert tickets are now resold in that secondary market. It's become a £200 million industry. The Music Managers Forum and the Performing Rights Society have set out plans to regulate it, which they say will help consumers, and they want to license it, which will give them a 15% cut. Mark Moreau manages, among others, Cat Stevens, and he's on the board of Music Managers Forum. Eric Baker is chief executive of Viagogo, the online ticket exchange company. I asked Mark Moreau why the secondary ticketing market, which seems to be operating effectively, should be licensed.
It's not effectively working. The problem that we've got is that following on the back of Amy Winehouse cancelling her tour last week, we have the news that Mika has cancelled his tour this week. And the problem with that is that many tickets have been sold via the secondary ticketing operations, and there are no, in over 50% of the cases, there are no guarantees that those tickets are going to be refunded. So there are a lot of consumers that are purchasing tickets and that have absolutely no guarantees that there is going to be any form of refunding if a concert fails.
That seems a pretty good argument, Eric Baker.
Well, I think I definitely agree with Mark that it's very important that secondary ticketing companies are safe, secure, and guaranteed. And that's really what we provided at Viagogo. You know, as Europe's largest online ticket exchange, where we work for the fans, we make sure that everyone gets a real ticket, they get it on time, and that if there are any issues, they would get a refund. So we basically feel like what we're doing really is what protects the fan. What's not needed is additional regulation or taxation of the fan. When you get into the realm of trying to actually tax consumers and say that they need to pay additional funds back to the artist after a ticket's already been purchased, that's where we begin to have a difference of opinion.
And you didn't make mention of that, Mark Moreau. There is a plan to effectively a tax.
Not a tax, no, a levy, and we're not suggesting for a second that the levy is levied against consumers. We're suggesting that the people that are making enormous amounts of money, like my friend Eric here, are levied themselves.
But if he is providing a market that people want, and he is doing it in a good way, and I don't know the details of Viagogo, but he's suggesting that there is protection for the people who buy from them, then why should he be punished?
Well, I have to say, we like Viagogo. We think that Viagogo is one of the good guys. The problem is there are 244 other sites that are out there, including some huge ones, including eBay, that have no regulation whatsoever. And that's where it gets really troubling for us, is that if you're a consumer and you make a purchase from eBay, one, there's no guarantee that your ticket is going to arrive, and two, there's no guarantee that your ticket is going to be anything other than a colour photocopy, and three, there's no guarantee if the ticket fails and the ticket is a colour photocopy that you're going to get your money back.
Eric Baker, you're in bad company, and that's the problem.
Well, I think what actually happens is the marketplace takes care of that. So imagine if you've got people who are selling used cars. If you have some people who are selling used cars and they're selling lemons or cars that are defective, then those people are going to go out of business because consumers are going to understand what their reputation is and they're not going to buy. And with the one caveat being that they're not providing things up to consumer safety and standard laws, of course those should be enforced. Again, the only issue and the only difference of opinion is when you start going above and beyond that to try and tax people.
And that's the problem we come back to, Mark Moreau, is you haven't actually explained why there should be money going to the musicians on this.
The answer is very simple. The reason for it is that the whole basis of the secondary ticketing market is built upon the IP that is created by artists.
And they get their payment. This is a secondary market where effectively
they get a partial payment. This is a new market whereby tickets, for argument's sake, let's talk about the Arctic Monkeys, who put their tickets on sale for £30, and on Viagogo they're currently on sale for £171. And in effect, Viagogo is able to use the Arctic Monkeys name in order to be able to make the market and resell the tickets, but none of the money is repatriated back to the artist. And in many respects, it's not the right and proper just to look at those profitable tours, the Madonnas, the U2s, the Rolling Stones that are out there. You've got to look at the great number, the vast majority below the waterline.
What about that, Eric Baker?
The original ticket's already been paid for. So coming up with the premise that once a ticket's bought and a consumer who's paid their hard-earned money is reselling it, then needs to pay back to the artist again, would really be no different than saying someone who had a Ford car and resold that car needs to pay Ford an additional time. That really, we think, doesn't make a lot of sense. The second thing I'd like to address is this issue of tickets being traded and what prices they trade at. There are also many instances, for example, Barbra Streisand toured this summer, customer, and her tickets, her face value was £500, £750, and they were selling on Viagogo for huge discounts to that price. So I would ask, in that instance, is Mark proposing that even if these tickets are trading well below face value, that a tax should still be levied in that case?
A final brief thought, Mark Moreau?
Well, we're not suggesting for a second that we re-tax people for tickets that they're selling below face value.
Mark Moreau, Eric Baker, thank you both.